Harold Krebs went to the war from a Methodist college in Kansas. He enlisted in the Marines in 1917 and did not return to the United States until the 2nd Division returned from the Rhine in the summer of 1919.
By the time Krebs returned to his hometown in Oklahoma, the greeting of heroes was over. The men from the town who had been drafted had all been welcomed elaborately on their return. There had been a great deal of hysteria. It had since died down, and many felt that his late return was ridiculous. The war had been over for a while.
He'd seen a lot during the war and had been to many places. Belleau Wood, Soissons, the Champagne, St. Mihiel, and the Argonne were just a few. At first, he didn't want to talk about it. Once he did, no one wanted to hear what he had to say. They had become more interested in the atrocities than the actualities. For them to listen, he learned a lie. He turned against the war because of those lies, developing a strong distaste for it.
All the times that had been able to make him feel cool and clear inside when he thought of them now lost their cool, valuable quality and then were lost themselves. The simplicity of the war, of the life he lived during his prolonged stay in Europe, had vanished when he returned and started to tell lies.
Simply put, people were not interested in reality as they were quite content with an exciting fantasy. There had been no German woman chained to the machine guns in Krebs's actual experiences, but that's what others wanted to hear. He felt frozen between telling the truth and telling a lie. The latter caused him a great nausea.
While he was away, the young girls had grown up. They lived in such a complicated world of already defined alliances and shifting feuds that Krebs did not feel the energy or the courage to break into it. He struggled to reconnect with these once familiar people. They had changed in different ways than he. He did, however, like to look at the girls, but they were far too complicated to get involved with. He did not want to tell any more lies. It wasn't worth it, not when things were getting good again.
He did not want any consequences. Here at his home, it was all too complicated. The world that these girls were in was not the world he was in. He felt disillusionated towards the world he had returned to, unsure where he fit in.
Good job.
He had sat there on the porch reading a book about the war. It was a history, and he was reading about all the engagements he had been in. He wished there were more maps. He looked forward with a good feeling to reading all the really good histories when they would come out with good detailed maps. That, he felt, would be pivotal to him, sorting out his experiences, the facts from fabrications.
I had a talk with your father last night, Harold, and he was willing to let you take the car out for the evening.
Yeah, take the car out?
Yes, your father has felt for some time that you should be able to take the car out evenings whenever you wish.
I'll bet you made him.
Will you come down for breakfast?
Have you got the paper? Sure.
Do you love me?
Sure.
We're playing indoor over at the school this afternoon. I'm going to pitch. I can pitch better than all the boys. I tell them you taught me. I tell them you're my beau. Aren't you my beau, Hare? But couldn't you be my beau, Hare, if I was old enough and if you wanted to? Aw, Hare, you don't love me. If you love me, you'd come and watch me play indoor.
Helen, it's time to leave. Have you decided what you want to do yet? Don't you think it's time?
I hadn't thought about it.
God has some work for everyone to do. There can only be an idle hands in his kingdom.
I'm not in his kingdom.
Many men in the war had lost their faith in God and in his kingdom. Seeing horrors like that can do that to a man.
Your father is worried. He thinks that your ambition has lost its aim in life. Charlie Simmons and his family, their boys have all settled down. Your father doesn't care what you start in. All your work is honorable, but he wants you to stop by his office. Don't you love your mother, dear boy?
No.
He does not feel like he can love anymore. Not his sister, not his mother, not some
I didn't
girl
mean
he
it.
watches
I
from
was
the
just
porch.
so angry at something. I didn't mean I didn't love you. Can't you believe me? Please believe me.
I believe you, Harold. I'm your mother. I held you next to my heart when you were a tiny baby.
He had desperately tried to keep his life simple, to avoid complications. None of what had just transpired had touched him. He felt sorry for his mother, and she made him lie to her. He would do as they please. He would go to Kansas City and get a job, even if it wasn't exactly optimal. Nonetheless, he would get through it. There would be one more scene before he got away. He decided he would not go down to his father's office. He did not want to tell another lie that day.
I wasn't recording. Go again. 1, 2, 3. And then we're gonna leave.
Thanks for watching.